It's time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the show focusing on fishing, hunting, outdoor recreation, destinations, and conservation in the region where you live and play. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you by Max Lure Company, Sportsman's Warehouse, Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing, and Wallowa County. And now, let's see what's going on in the field and on the water with your host, John Kruse.
We're taking you to a special part of the Northwest today. It's a place so unrivaled in beauty that it's known as one of Oregon's 7 wonders. The place is Wallowa County, and some of the jewels you'll find in the scenic part of Northeast Oregon include Wallowa Lake, the place that gave up the world record kokanee salmon to an angler in 2010. Other jewels in Wallowa County include the Eagle Cap Wilderness Area, the Zumwalt Prairie, and the Hells Canyon National Recreation Area. Wildlife is abundant, and there's probably more deer and elk in this county than there are people, though you can find people and restaurants and lodging and gift shops and more in the towns of Enterprise and Joseph, as well as smaller communities like Wallowa, Lostine, Wenaha, and Troy. This week on the show, we'll highlight several activities you can enjoy outdoors in Wallowa County. We'll start off chatting with Lanique Ovison at the Wallowa Lake Pack Station at the south end of Wallowa Lake. She and her husband offer everything from day rides to overnight camping trips to lakes and streams in the Eagle Cap and Wenaha Wilderness during the summer, and in the fall, they cater to hunters who are after deer and elk in these same areas. Bob Loomis joins us for an extended Max Minute to talk about the Promise Keeper spinner, a lure I used with great success for trout in another beautiful body of water in Wallowa County called Kinney Lake. After that, we'll take you on a moonlit paddle, kayaking on Wallowa Lake on glass-bottom kayaks with Joe Paddle. This tour and other tours, along with kayak and stand-up paddleboard rentals, are offered by the Nichols family, recent immigrants to Wallowa County from Georgia who have hit upon a novel idea for enjoying some time on the water of the lake where the water is so clear you can see 40 feet deep. After we get some shut-eye, we'll head to the Sports Corral in Joseph, the place to go for sporting goods around here, and chat with Brad Snook. He's got the latest fishing reports from Wallowa Lake to include very good news about the trophy kokanee fishery here. Brad will also weigh in as to what hunters can expect this fall if they're after big game. Put it all together, and we've got a great hour coming your way that will have you going to the Wallowa County Chamber of Commerce website so you can plan a late summer or early fall trip to this wonderful destination. Oh, and that website, you'll find it at WallowaCountyChamber.com. Before we immerse ourselves into Wallowa County and the waters of Wallowa Lake, though, let's share this week's edition of Sportsman Spotlight with David Sparks.
Talking with an old buddy who had a noble conservation career, David Sparks, Sportsman Spotlight. Longtime friend and fellow hockey player Ted Cook recently retired from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, where he spent 30 years as an endangered species biologist. What's that?
According to Congress and the mission of the agency and the purpose of the Endangered Species Act, my job was working with others to conserve the ecosystems that we and all other species depend upon, which is quite noble, I think, and honorable and exciting and fun and rewarding, and trying to make sure we leave the world in a little bit better shape for our children's children. That's really what my job was.
You had a big run with, was it bull trout? Is that what I remember? Tell me that story again.
So I was a bull trout recovery coordinator for about 3 years for the Fish and Wildlife Service based in Boise. Basically, bull trout require a colder, cleaner water than any other species of trout or salmon on the continent, save for maybe Arctic char. So my job was working particularly with states, federal land management agencies, and others to make sure that they had the coldest, cleanest water that we could deliver, and then connect it as they migrate great distances, 80 miles or more sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, you go into a state, you come to Idaho, you come to Colorado, you know that bull trout need cold water. Okay, now what? What do you do? Put cubes of ice in the water? What do you... Shut up, you wise guy, and let Ted tell us tomorrow exactly how he coordinated such efforts. Hope you enjoyed Sportsman Spotlight. I'm David Sparks.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi. I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, before I left my campsite, I was putting out my fire, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear showed up and hugged me?
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it. Drowned it again. and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. He likes it when people correctly put out their campfires. He's pretty big on wildfire prevention. He's just letting you know you did good with a hug. He's a hugger.
I just got a bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update!
All right, I'm going to let you go now. I've got a lot of ranger stuff to do. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
A quality and affordable fishing adventure is waiting for you off Vancouver Island with Chad's Coast-Wide Sports Fishing. Located in Port Hardy, British Columbia, you can drive or fly to your all-inclusive guided fishing vacation. Whether you're after big salmon, heart-fighting halibut, or a cooler full of red snapper and lingcod, you can catch it all here. Better yet, your lodging, meals, and fish processing are all taken care of. Want one more reason to go? The price. With the Canadian dollar exchange rate where it is right now, your U.S. dollar goes further. Space is limited, so go to coastwidesportsfishing.com to book your trip. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible BC fishing adventure.
Backcountry hunters and anglers, the men and women working hard to keep public lands in public hands. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
You're back in with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. We're broadcasting from Wallowa County in Northeastern Oregon. We're at the south end of Wallowa Lake, south of Joseph, and we're actually broadcasting from the Wallowa Lake Pack Station. As a matter of fact, I've got a whole bunch of mules right in front of me that are feeding and are probably going to interrupt us from time to time. And I've also got the co-owner of this operation, Lanique Ovison, with me today. Lanique, great to have you on the air.
Thanks. I'm super excited to be here with you today.
Well, Lanique, the last time I was here was about 3-4 years ago, and there was a different owner. Tell me how you and your husband came into this operation.
Brian actually was outfitting and guiding for big game, and this opportunity came available, and it made sense that we could have a business that allowed us to have multiple horses and multiple mules for an extended period of time throughout the year and not just the 3 or 4 weeks of hunting season. So we kind of did the math on it, and it made sense to buy the pack station and do horseback rides during the summer, and then we could transition into hunting into the fall.
Well, let's go ahead and tell folks a little bit about exactly what you have to offer. As I was pulling in, you had a trail ride that was heading out with some happy kids and teenagers and adults, and you offer everything from 1 hour to full-day rides for people that are just recreating here in Joseph, don't you?
We do. So we have something to fit everybody's budget, and we have something to fit everybody's level of riding. So we have something as short as a short ride that we do lead around the facilities for little kids who we don't necessarily want to go up on the trail. We do offer a 1 hour ride, and that is totally doable for somebody who doesn't have riding experience. We do 2 hour rides. We do a half day ride to the Ice Lake Trail cutoff, and then we do our all day rides up to Aneroid Lake. And so that's a few hours on the trail. They get to the lake, they get to spend a couple hours at the trail, and then it's, 2.5 or 3 hours back on the trail. So we leave in the morning and they get back in the evening, and they get to experience one of the high lakes without having to commit several days to doing that.
Most folks who hike up to Aneroid Lake, they're pretty much tuckered out by the time they get there. There's a bit of elevation gain, but I understand it's a beautiful lake. Got some fishing there as well for trout. How far is it there exactly, and what do your guests do? Do some of them bring trout rods?
Yeah, so it's a 6.5 mile ride up there. It's about 1,500 to 1,800 feet in elevation change.
Oof.
Exactly. So it's a lot nicer going up on the horse, a lot easier on the body for most of us. And then we do have fishing poles up there. We have a raft up there currently, so our guests can use that if they want. Some people bring their own fly rods, some people bring their own trout poles, and we just tie them to the back of the saddle, and they get to either hike or fish or swim or just sit in the sun and take a nap. We suggest bringing a lunch. They can bring lunch and take a picnic. So lots of different opportunities up there.
That sounds like an absolutely fabulous summer day. How much does that one cost?
So currently it's $195 per person to go up there. And then we also do offer deluxe camp trips. So they can do overnight options. And we have a really awesome reserved camp spot up at Aneroid Lake. And it's $250 per person. And we provide the horses, we provide the food, we provide the cook and the wrangler. And they get to stay in wall tents and backpacker tents up there in the meadow. So it's not directly on the lake, so you don't have the mosquito issue as much. beach. And then it's kind of secluded, so you don't have other campers and hikers and backpackers coming through the campsite. So that's really nice.
That sounds super duper nice. And the price point is just a little bit more than that day ride, and you get so much more. Question, you had mentioned, the beginner trail rides, no experience required. And just looking at the mules, looking at the horses, I can tell. You've picked them out. They're all bomb-proof. Do you really need a lot of riding experience to go on this trip on the overnighter at Aneroid Lake or not?
Nope. The only thing that we do suggest is that if we have children in the group, we can't do double riding. Our insurance doesn't allow double riding, so everybody has to be on their own horse. And so that's really all that we're asking. As long as the rider can ride on their own horse safely, that's all that we require. We've taken several people. We do a lot of deluxe camps in the High Lakes and the Lakes Basin. We actually we have a special use permit in the Wenaha. So Brian is the exclusive outfitter in the Wenaha for the wilderness. And
well, let's back up on that, because we spend so much time on the show talking about the Eagle Cap Wilderness, and you're not the only outfitter that operates in this area. I don't know a whole lot about the Wenaha. So what are some of the jewels? What are some of the treasures you're going to find if you go up there on a multi-day trip?
So we've been doing some talking with the Umatilla Forest Service, and we finally got a special use permit to do recreation inside the wilderness as well as hunting. So we do offer hunting trips, but this is our first year that we've done a couple gear drops and multi-day fishing trips on the Wenaha. So lots of bull trout, lots of salmon runs up there. So it's super fantastic, and it's absolutely fantastic for fishing.
And I'm guessing you don't see another person at all. You probably have the Wenaha River all to yourself, don't you?
Yeah, pretty close. I think we saw one group of people the last time that we were up there, and then that was it. The other trip, we didn't see a soul other than ourselves.
Well, I think the mules certainly want to head up into the Wenaha based on the reaction that they just gave. So that sounds pretty exciting. Now, you mentioned something here, and that's those day trips. And again, folks, let me reset here in case you've lost track. You're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Lanique Ovison. She is the co-owner of the Wallowa Lake Pack Station. And we've just talked about day trips and multi-day trips that you can enjoy in the Eagle Cap and Wenaha Wilderness. These day trips and these summer trips, for lack of a better word, are they all shutting down on Labor Day, or are they going to go a little bit further?
Great question. So we try to access the wilderness as quickly as we can, weather pending. So usually we try to be open for Mother's Day for our hour and 2 hour rides. The trail usually is not accessible because of the snow level. And as that snow regresses into the mountains, we're able to access further and further into the wilderness. And so our busiest weekend of the year is usually Memorial Day. And then our second busiest weekend is Labor Day. And we are operational up until the snow flies and until we cannot access the wilderness anymore and no longer are able to do trail rides.
So bottom line is, you're pretty safe to book a trip all the way through September.
Yeah, so last year we were lucky enough to give rides all the way until the 18th of October.
Wow, okay. When I think October, though, when I think September, I do think hunting season. I know you've got deer hunters that are in the area. You've got some elk hunters. How do you cater to them with your service?
Just like in the summer, we offer a gear drop option. So we do backpacker gear drops, we do hunting gear drops, we do supply drop camps. So people can either bring their own gear that we pack in, we can supply the gear and pack it in, and then they give us a location that they want to be in. We do a deluxe option or the all-inclusive fully guided hunt option. It's the same thing as our deluxe camps here in the summers. So we send a guide, a scout, a cook, all the food, all the beverages, non-alcoholic of course, and then all the gear, wall tents, cots, the whole works. And then whatever unit they're in, if we're permitted to access that unit, which we have 6 permits currently, so we're able to access a lot of the units in Northeast Oregon. And like I said, we kind of are trying to fit every budget, and so whatever fits people's budget is what we'll try to make work. So like I said, we do anything from dropping their own gear into a location to doing a supply drop camp in a location to a semi-guided where we do maybe offer the guide and the backpacking or the hunting gear, but they provide their own food or they provide their own lodging. And then we do the fully guided option, which is the camp cook, the guide, the food, the scout, all inclusive. All they have to do is show up with their underwear, their toothbrush, and their hunting gear.
Are most of the hunters up here, are they going after deer? Are they going after elk? And how hard is it to draw a tag?
So unfortunately, the state of Oregon is a little bit lacking in the deer population. So we really try to make sure if we sell a deer hunt that we are really confident in our abilities to do the deer hunt and to find a target animal.
Are these whitetail or mule deer?
Both, either or. So those tags are a little bit easier to draw than the elk tags. So there are general season archery tags that are available over the counter in the Wenaha and the Minam unit that we can access. And then you go up to, Sled Springs unit where you have to have a few preference points to draw the rifle and archery tag.
I mean, this is doable. It's not like one of those where you have to save up 10, 12 years. I mean, there's some over-the-counter options for deer. What about elk?
Yeah, so elk as well. Elk has a general season archery tag, and then rifle, you have second season options as well for spike only and cow tags. The branch antler bull tags usually, and most of these units, take a couple preference points all the way up to the Wenaha, which at this point in time is 19 preference points.
Wow. All right, we'll save up for that one. But when you do, contact Lanique and her husband and the rest of the crew here. And whether you are interested in a ride for the day, whether you're interested in an overnight trip during the summer, whether you're interested in one of these hunting drop camps or even fully guided trips, Wallowa Lake Pack Station is the place to go. What's the website where folks can find out more?
Primarily, all of the horseback riding happens under WallowaLakePackStation.com, and most of the hunting stuff happens under OregonBackCountryOutfitting.com.
That's OregonBackCountryOutfitting.com, OregonBackCountryOutfitting.com if you're interested in hunting. If you are interested in a trail ride or an overnight trip for the summer, that's WallowaLakePackStation.com. Lanique, thank you for spending some time with me, and thank you for letting me spend some time with your mules today on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thanks, John. It was great having you here.
With more of the great outdoors on Northwestern Outdoors Radio with John Kruse.
It's time for another Extended Max Minute, brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. With us again, Bob Loomis. Bob, always a pleasure.
Thank you, John.
So, Bob, as you know, I was down in Northeast Oregon, Wallowa County, got to fish a new body of water. The folks of the Sports Corral and Joseph steered me towards Kinney Lake, little 20-acre lake. It's on private property, owned by the Triple Creek Ranch. Absolutely beautiful place. Easy to fish from shore. Lots of rainbow trout that are stocked in there. Nothing huge, your standard 8 to 10 inch trout. But boy, oh boy, I was using my favorite lure, the Promise Keeper from Max Lure, and I had a great time. Caught several fish, lost several more. It was a magical evening. Tell our listeners why the Promise Keeper is just so darn good for trout at small lakes and on streams.
Well, John, the Promise Keeper, it's kind of a unique lure. It's a castable lure, has weight. And between the colors, the hook that we have on it, we have a lot of different high UV flashaboos on them to match the color of the lure itself, and a smile blade on there with the wedding ring band. So between the amount of flash and color that you've got, attraction is fantastic. So getting the correct color that you want, for the lake that you're fishing is really the only thing that you have to do.
One interesting thing about the colors in particular, I was fishing early evening and the sun was still on the water to a certain degree. And so I was fishing a dark body, I was fishing a gold blade, and then as the sun got off the water, I changed to a silver blade, went with a white body, and that definitely worked. So, sunlight and blade color and lure color, that makes a difference too, doesn't it?
It makes a huge difference. Getting that correct color for the clarity of the water, the temperature, where you're fishing, how you're fishing, where the sun is at, all of that makes a huge, huge difference. Whether you're using, high UV colors or a more muted, like the black body during the middle of the day, that makes a huge difference for getting those fish wanting to bite.
Well, we are running way long on this Extended Max Minute, but if you're looking for a great lure, look for the Promise Keepers from Max Lure Company. You'll find it at sporting goods stores near you and online at maxlure.com.
That's the sound you hear when a fish hits the new sonic bait fish from Max Lure Company. This metal lure can be cast, trolled, or jigged and will catch just about anything that swims in the sea, the river, or the lake. The sonic bait fish has a unique vibration and flutter that can be rigged in 7 different ways. With all sorts of eye-catching colors and weights available, you'll be reaching for the sonic bait fish as your go-to lure. It's the sonic bait fish. Only from Max Lure Company.
Go fishing, make money, help out, and have fun. That's what the Northern Pike Minnow Sport Reward Fishery is all about. From May 1st through September 30th, catch pike minnow out of the Columbia and Snake Rivers and turn them in for cash. Pike minnow eat juvenile salmon and steelhead. Each one you catch helps more juvenile fish reach the ocean. Pike minnow are worth anywhere from $5 to $8, and keep an eye out for tagged fish worth $500. Find out more at pikeminnow.org and go fishing.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. We are broadcasting from a very unique setting. We're literally on Wallowa Lake at the county park north end of this beautiful lake. It's a moonlit night, and next to me are several kayaks, and they're all lit up. They're glass-bottom kayaks. You can actually see right through them to the bottom of the lake, and with me here are the guides that took us out for a wonderful trip today. That would be Robert Nichols, Tia Nichols, and their son Andy Nichols. Welcome to the show.
Oh, our pleasure.
Hello. Hello.
You three are part of the crew that own Joe Paddle. And this is a new kayak tour company, kayak rental company. It's your first year here at Wallowa Lake. Let's talk a little bit, though, about this really unique moonlight tour with these glass-bottom lit-up boats. I've never been on anything like this before. Where'd you come up with this idea?
Well, originally we wanted to do a glass-bottom boat ride that could take like 20 people. And that, with some research, ended up being quite out of our reach. And it's kind of a funny story. We learned about glass-bottom kayaks from a pop-up advertisement from doing our research on the glass-bottom boats. And it's about the only thing I've ever had good come from a pop-up ad. It was an ad for a company on Lake Tahoe who does something similar to what we offer. And we were like, well, those are really cool. And that's something that we can actually afford to get a business like that started. And it's been quite an endeavor to get the boats where they are now.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about that because there's lots of companies that have glass-bottom kayaks. However, I have never been in a glass-bottom kayak that is got this festive lighting along the sides, so you can see them a country mile away, folks. And then you've got batteries that power lights that shine right down, all the way down 30, 40 feet to the bottom of the lake. Did you come up with that by yourself in terms of just inventing this, or have you seen this somewhere else?
There are other companies around the world that do lit tours at night, but we're the first that we've ever come across that actually use spotlights to shoot down to the bottom of the lake, and that really opens it up. There's like a 20-25 foot circumference of light around each boat, and you can see down through the bottom, through the sides of the boat, and it just really helps light it up. I think most other folks just kind of use the LED running lights along the sides, which do light up quite a bit, but not quite as well as these spotlights do. And we have an equivalent of about 500 watts of lighting per boat. It's all LED, all runs off of a 12-volt battery, and we charge those with solar power too, which is really cool.
And one thing that really works here is the waters of Wallowa Lake are just so crystal clear that you can see so deep. And you can see detail. Andy, I'm going to ask you a question here. What are the coolest things you like to see when you go kayaking?
I see like fish and so many cool different things, good shaped rocks.
Well, there are a lot of interesting rocks on the bottom here. And folks, I can tell you, there is a very, very healthy population of rainbow trout. You are going to see a ton of rainbow trout during these tours. A lot of them are very nice size. And if you look really carefully, you might even see some of the crawdads in here too. So again, this moonlit tour, if you've got somebody you want to impress on a date, I would highly recommend this. It's a little over an hour long, and what a romantic setting. But you've got some other evening tours that are kind of cool, and Tia, I understand one of them even involves a sunset picnic.
It does. The sunset picnic tour is for adults only. Nothing against kids. It's just...
You're trying to have a little romance here. I get it.
Yes. So for a date night, for instance, we provide
chocolates. We've partnered with Arrowhead Chocolates here in town, and either tea or lemonade and picnic blankets where people can go and watch the sunset over the mountains, the colors change in the sky, and then, enjoy their refreshments and then come back to us when it's time to start the tour, and then we do our hour or so on the water.
Are they having the picnic right here in the county park or somewhere else?
It's right over on the beach area of the county park while we're getting everything set up.
Well, it certainly is a beautiful setting. But wait, there's more, because you have other tours too. What else do you have, Robert?
We do a Wally the Lake Monster expedition.
Now, let's be honest here, because you told me this story already. You've done one Wally the Lake Monster expedition, and you've really got to tell this story more often when you're on the water, because it's a great story. But briefly, tell our listeners a little bit about Wally the Lake Monster. I think people will be interested in maybe coming on one of these tours.
So the legend of Wally the Lake Monster goes back to the Nez Perce natives, and they had a pretty harsh encounter with the lake monster on the middle of the lake, and I think we'll leave some more details for the tour.
All right, that's more than fair. Suffice it to say, it's a great story, and you're going to be looking really carefully through that glass bottom to see what may lie underneath. Now, in addition to these tours, you also have just plain old kayak rentals. You rent these very stable kayaks out. I'm sure that they've got to be really popular because of the glass bottom. How does that work?
We have a variety of options for our daytime rentals. We offer 2-hour rentals, 4-hour, and 6-hour rentals. They're all booked online or through phone calls. They're all prearranged due to our arrangements with the county park and ODFW.
And one thing I think is important for people to know, whether you're on the tour or whether you're renting a kayak, these are extremely stable. I mean, I would have to really, really work hard, and I'm a klutz, folks, to go ahead and tip myself over in one of these. Have you had anybody do that yet?
Not accidentally.
That's fair. That's more than fair. So the bottom line is, if you want to enjoy a beautiful lake in a really unique way, literally in a glass bottom kayak, very wide, easy to get in and out of, I forgot. There's one more thing. You've got, besides the kayaks, I understand you've got something else people can rent. Tell our listeners about that, Tia.
We have 2 stand-up paddle boards that also have a clear viewing window in them. For those who don't want to do the kayak but still want to go out on the lake, they can do the paddleboard. And then we also have a regular canoe for, say, small family of 4 that won't fit in one kayak because it is a tandem kayak. It'll fit 2 adults and 2 small children. So that's another option that we also offer for a family that just wants to take out one thing.
All right, so rent yourself a single kayak, a tandem kayak, a stand-up paddleboard, or make it a family outing for 4 with one of the canoes. Andy, what is your favorite thing to do in terms of all the boats and stand-up paddleboards that you get to play with here?
Probably the stand-up paddleboards.
Are you pretty good at it?
Yeah.
Bet you're a lot better at it than I am. That's why I sit in a kayak instead of standing up on a stand-up paddleboard. But folks, whatever floats your boat or kayak or stand-up paddleboard, the website to go to is Joe Paddle. That's jopaddle.com, joepaddle.com. How late are you going to be offering these tours and offering kayak rentals this season?
Our tours will officially end about mid-September, but if someone wants to come along and they want to brave a cool evening, we can do night tours by appointment after that, and we will be operating our daytime rentals through the end of November.
Well, still plenty of time to go to rent a kayak or go on a tour at beautiful Wallowa Lake. Enjoy the crystal clear waters through the glass bottoms and see what you're going to see, whether it be trout, whether it be crawdads, whether it be really cool rock formations, or maybe, just maybe, Wally the Monster. Thank you so much for a really fun evening tonight and for sharing this with us on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nature at its finest. That's what you'll find in Northeast Oregon's Wallowa County. Paddle a kayak or go fishing at Wallowa Lake. Hike into the Eagle Cap Wilderness or soak in the views after taking the tram to the top of Mount Howard. Then take time to explore the towns of Joseph and Enterprise. No matter how you take in this country, you're sure to enjoy it. That's the beauty of Wallowa County, and that's why we're home to one of Oregon's 7 wonders. Find out more at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands. We've helped ban the use of drones for hunting. We help repair wildlife corridors in key riparian areas. We speak up against illegal ATV use. Please join this dynamic conservation group. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. We continue to broadcast from Wallowa County in Northeast Oregon, and whenever I come here, I always stop at a few places to get the latest intel and information about fishing and hunting. My first stop is usually the store at Minham. They are really dialed in there about the conditions on the Wallowa River and the Grand Braun. I usually make it a point to stop at the Joseph Fly Shop in Joseph because they can always tell me what to use when it comes to patterns for the area rivers and lakes. And I always stop at the Sports Corral and check in with my friend Brad Snook because he has always got the latest advice and good information on where to go when it comes to fishing and hunting. Brad, great to have you back on the air.
Welcome back to town, John.
So let's talk a little bit about this summer and early fall, and we got to start off with Wallowa Lake because, baby, it's back when it comes to the kokanee.
It's been much more fun to talk about it, indeed.
You know, it's funny, when we first started talking, it's been a few years now, when we first started talking, it was right after that world record fish was caught in, 2010, was it?
I believe so, yes.
Not that I remember, but I do believe it was a 9.7-pound fish caught by Ron Campbell out of Pendleton. And I was actually here that day fishing at the marina, catching trout with my daughter, and that picture of that fish in the cooler started circulating around. And right after that, the kokanee fishery basically busted. All those big fish went away. There was all of a sudden like millions of small fish, and it wasn't fun to talk about kokanee fishing at all. But now the boom-bust cycle has come back to a boom, and I understand from Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, they're catching kokanee up to 4 pounds now out of the lake.
Even plus 5 pounds, another 5-pounder last week. And so, yes, cycle really jumping back up.
Is it a numbers game, or is it just a quality over quantity like it was before 10 years ago?
The numbers are not one after another to get to catch a fish, but the quality of fish is up. And 13 to 16-inch kokanee, that makes a nice slab when you're cleaning your fish.
Oh, I'll take 13-inch kokanee all day long. But a 5-pound kokanee, I mean, when we start talking 4 or 5-pound fish, we're talking for a lot of people, and this would be myself included, the kokanee of a lifetime. And there's very, very few places in the western U.S. you can get kokanee that big. The only one I can think of offhand is Flaming Gorge Reservoir at the border of Wyoming and Utah. So, in your opinion, do you think we are heading back to a situation where we might be bumping up against the state, national, and world records again?
Well, it's certainly what we would hope. We have some fish already turning color, and that means they're gonna spawn out. But the other part of the fish are still bright silver, so we certainly are hoping for that good upturn of good quality of fish.
I noticed that a lot of those boats today were fishing not far from the inlet of Wallowa Lake there at the creek, and I'm guessing that's where a lot of those kokanee are kind of starting to stack up now as they get ready to spawn.
The kokanee will stack up there, but it's also Troutville right there. So there's always fish to be caught at the mouth of the river there.
And speaking of trout, you've got a lot of rainbow trout in this lake, and I was on this moonlight kayak trip last night in a glass-bottom boat. There's a very healthy population of trout and some really nice ones in this lake.
The state does a very good job of stocking our lake, and yes, you can catch all categories of fish, not just 11 to 13-inch fish. Brood trout program is good, and we're well taken care of in Wallowa Lake.
Another fish I want to talk about when it comes to Wallowa Lake are lake trout, and this flies completely under the radar, but I saw somebody who posted on Facebook a 40-inch Mackinaw this summer. Do you get them that big very often here? And are there very many lake trout in this lake?
Not lots of people target the lake trout because it takes a lot of time to put in for each and every fish.
So, good-sized trout, really nice-sized kokanee, and some real lunker lake trout all waiting for you at Wallowa Lake. Now, at the Minum store and in person, just walking down to the Wallowa River, I found that that water's pretty darn warm. It's pretty darn low. We probably better leave those fish alone, at least until the water starts cooling in mid to late September. Because otherwise, folks, you're probably just going to kill them. So don't even bother catching them. If you have to, do it early in the morning, after night, when the air's cool, the water's cooled a little bit. Play them quick. Let them go. The Grand Ronde, I know, is kicking out smallmouth bass right now. It's going to continue to do so at least through the end of the month. But when I was here yesterday, one of your employees, Remington, I said, I really want to go somewhere fishing. And he steered me to Kinney Lake. And man, oh man, I had a great time. I'll tell you about it in a second, but why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about this really special lake that's actually on private property?
Private property. They've been very gracious to leave the door open so that you can park for an entry, and it's family friendly. You can walk around the lake, and again, it's a good stocking program, and the fish survived not a harsh winter last year, but people even ice fished for them in the middle of the winter last year, and it's not a real deep lake.
And what's the name of the outfit that owns this property where Kinney Lake's on?
It's the Triple Creek Ranch.
Well, God bless you folks if you're listening for keeping this open to the public. It's appreciated. And if you decide to go to this really pretty 20-acre lake, it's surrounded by grasslands. There's, some pine trees dotting the landscape. When I was there last night, there was one family that was there for a few minutes, and after that, I had the whole lake to myself. Had an evening of fishing, casting spinners, catching rainbow trout. Nothing huge. We're talking like 8-inch fish, but they were rising everywhere. I wish I had a fly rod. Cedar waxwings flying around, deer at the end of the lake. I mean, just a absolutely gorgeous setting. I couldn't ask for a better end to my day than what I had at Kinney Lake. And like you said, easy access to fish around from shore.
Yep, very much so. Good place to stretch the legs and breathe our good Wallowa County air.
All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk hunting season. That's coming up really quick. When it comes to deer and elk, we'll start off with deer. I know you have both whitetail and mule deer. How do you think things are looking this year?
Well, predators are making a big impact on our deer hunting, even more so than the elk. You go out into the woods where the deer are supposed to live, and we don't get to see gobs and gobs of deer on top of each other anymore.
Everybody wants to blame wolves when it comes to deer, when it comes to elk in Wallowa County, but a very wise biologist once told me it's not any one prey species. It's when you introduce too many top-tier predators. So I'm guessing it's a combination of bear and mountain lion and wolves together that's knocking down the populations around here?
I think that you have to, yes, be realistic, and all of the predators are part of the picture, yes.
So when it comes to the deer, when it comes to the elk, clearly they're being pressured. I know in other places in the Northwest, what's happened is that the populations do stabilize and they end up leaving those areas where they're being pressured. Are you seeing that here in Wallowa County as well, where maybe there's new areas people should try hunting instead of the old areas they traditionally have?
Well, that's a hard question to answer because they're coming to the private property. They're coming to the easy living with the alfalfa, and they're on top of the ranchers instead of high mountain basins. We won't say that there's zero deer up there, but, part of the mystique of Wallowa County was getting up into some of our very nice basins and the high country, and animals are coming to the alfalfa and the easy land.
And unfortunately, those predators are following them right to that alfalfa in the easy land, aren't they?
They do. Absolutely.
All right. So, deer and elk hunting might be a little more challenging this year. Is that about the size of it?
Oh, the cycle is changing. Yes, I think more so about the deer than the elk.
All right. Well, we're going to have to leave it at that. But always leave it to Brad to be very truthful about how things are going here in Wallowa County. So that doesn't mean there's not deer and elk here. There are deer and elk here, and there's a lot of hunters that come here because even on a down year, you're going to find more opportunity in this corner of the state than you're going to find in most corners. You're just going to have to look a little harder and work a little harder for success. And if you need gear in terms of sporting goods, in terms of ammo, in terms of anything else for your expeditions, whether they're fishing or hunting in Northeast Oregon, you've got to stop by the Sports Corral. Brad, his dad Larry, and the rest of the crew will hook you up, and you are open every day of the week?
Just summertime. We try to at least have Sunday during hunting season.
That's more than fair. Brad, thanks as always for giving us the latest on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John.
Go fishing, make money, help out, and have fun. That's what the Northern Pike Minnow Sport Reward Fishery is all about. From May 1st through September 30th, catch pike minnow out of the Columbia and Snake Rivers and turn them in for cash. Pike minnow eat juvenile salmon and steelhead. Each one you catch helps more juvenile fish reach the ocean. Pike minnow are worth anywhere from $5 to $8, and keep an eye out for tagged fish worth $500. Find out more at pikeminnow.org and go fishing.
A quality and affordable fishing adventure is waiting for you off Vancouver Island with Chad's Coast-Wide Sports Fishing. Located in Port Hardy, British Columbia, you can drive or fly to your all-inclusive guided fishing vacation. Whether you're after big salmon, heart-fighting halibut, or a cooler full of red snapper and lingcod, you can catch it all here. Better yet, your lodging, meals, and fish processing are all taken care of. Want one more reason to go? The price. With the Canadian dollar exchange rate where it is right now, your U.S. dollar goes further. Space is limited, so go to coastwidesportsfishing.com to book your trip. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible BC fishing adventure.
Sportsman's Warehouse is America's premier outfitter, and with over 90 locations, you're sure to find a store near you full of the gear you need to succeed this hunting season. Find a location near you or shop online today at sportsmanswarehouse.com.
We've got time for one more shot of Northwestern Outdoors Radio with John Kruse.
I'm glad you're back. There's an upcoming event I want to tell you about in Wallowa County. It takes place the weekend after Labor Day at the Fairgrounds in Enterprise. It's called Hell's Canyon Mule Days. I've been there, and I'll tell you what, it's worth going to, especially if you like mules. Talk about an animal with some personality. There are riding events. There's all sorts of classes for mule owners and prospective owners. There's vendors galore. There's a parade, a Saturday night concert, a Dutch oven cook-off, and even the chance to buy a mule if you want to do so. You can find out the exact event schedule and more information by going to hellscanyonmuledays.com. That's hellscanyonmuledays.com for this fun event that takes place every year the weekend after Labor Day at the Fairgrounds in Enterprise. Something else we should mention is the Sportsman's Warehouse Fall Hunt Sale going on now. You should really head down there. If you're in the market for a new rifle or a new shotgun, they've got some fantastic deals. Plus, they've got deals on ammunition and all the gear you need for hunting this fall. So head on down to your local Sportsman's Warehouse. There is sure to be one near you. Get what you need to be successful this fall in the field. And now, it's time for your Sportsman's Warehouse Trivia Question of the Week, which comes to you from Wallowa County. One of the really fun things you can do here is take the 15-minute ride on the Wallowa Lake Tramway to the top of a mountain where you can hike or enjoy a drink and a meal at the Summit Grill while soaking in the view of Wallowa Lake below, the Eagle Cap Wilderness around you, and on a clear day, take in views into the neighboring states of Washington and Idaho. Here's your question. What is the name of the mountain your gondola car takes you up to? If you think you know the answer, go to our Facebook page. You'll find it at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Like and follow this Facebook page along with our sister show Facebook page at America Outdoors Radio and give us your answer. If you don't do Facebook, that's okay. Just go to our website. You'll find that at northwesternoutdoors.com. Go to our Contact Us page and let us know the name of the mountain that the Wallowa Lake Tramway takes you to the top of. One lucky person who guesses right will win the $25 gift card we give away every week from America's premier outfitter, Sportsman's Warehouse. we've got to go, but I've got to tell you, I sure enjoyed putting this show together in Wallowa County, from my sunset fishing trip at Kinney Lake to my moonlit kayaking trip at Wallowa Lake to my overnight stay at Wallowa Lake State Park to being greeted by $2 in the morning as I strolled to the lake from my campsite. And I, of course, love meeting with quite a few people I consider to be friends in one of the friendlier places you'll find in our United States. If you want to plan a trip to Wallowa County, just go to the Chamber website. You'll find it at WallowaCountyChamber.com. That's WallowaCountyChamber.com. Plan your visit and take in one of Oregon's 7 wonders in the weeks ahead. And with that, it's time to say, take care, God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.